Hello everyone. Welcome back to another stream at Major League Hacking. This is going to be a very special stream. This is also for all the folks who are also participating in the month-long hackathon. But before we actually start up, I can see a lot of folks hopping onto the stream. So it would be very good if you can drop from where are you hacking this weekend or from where you are actually joining the stream. So yep, if you are participating in Global Hack Week, you can also take part in this streams. You will be learning a lot of new things. I'm also especially excited for this stream because this is something which usually related to a lot of people in India, or if you are outside too, if you're an engineer, you're looking to switch roles. This stream is going to be a power pack for all the answers you're trying to find for your questions. Yep, this stream is a part of both Global Hack Week and the month-long hackathon. So once again, I welcome everyone to the stream. Hi everyone. You can just drop them in the chat. You can just drop from where you're joining. This is going to be a very interactive stream with our guest for today. I might have seen if you would have already checked in with the link which I've shared over Discord. You know who is going to join us. But before I actually have him on the stream, I just want to say a few words from him. Today we are going to be joined by Shivendra Srivastav. He is an experienced software engineer manager with a 15-year track record in retail and e-commerce. He works with distributed cloud products specializing in Azure and AWS. He's currently leading an amazing dynamic team of engineers. He's dedicated to solving complex problems, and also he loves to support peers. And he also loves to give guidance to all the folks who are new in the tech field. And also, if you are confused in any point of your life, related to your engineering or your job profiles, he will be there to help you out. So I'll have Shivendra on the stream. Hi Shivendra, how are you?
Hi, Vinayak. Hi, everyone. I'm doing good. Glad to be on the stream. Thank you so much for setting this up, first of all. And thank you for the very kind introduction. So today, as Vinayak has already pointed out, we're going to talk about, careers in product, program, or engineering. And that I think is a big, source of confusion to a lot of folks who are either trying to switch careers or start their careers or somewhere mid in their career and trying to decide which way they should go. So yeah,
So
this is going to be a power pack session. So please have all your questions ready. We'll have breaks in between where we can ask questions. Then we'll get started. Yeah.
yep. Before I give stage to Shivendra, I'll just tell all the folks, if you will have any set of questions, you can drop them in the chat. Shivendra will take it during the stream. And also, if we have a lot of questions, we'll pile them up and we will have them at the end of the stream. We also have some generic questions which we received when we sent it the questions to folks. So, with that, I will just add the slides and I'll give the stage to Shivendra and to our amazing audience. Shivendra, to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vinayak. So let's get started, right? I think I'll just reintroduce the topic. It's navigating your careers, product, program, or engineering, right? And I think that's for everybody in tech. This comes out to be one of the sources of confusion as to which way they should go. So let's get started on that. And before we start, I wanted to introduce myself, right? Vinayak, thank you for the introduction. But just wanted to reintroduce myself and talk about my experience. So I started as a software engineer in 2008, and I was working in India, and I worked for TCS. From then, I moved to the US, started working for Walgreens, worked for US Foods, then Office Max, all these e-commerce and retail technology firms, and then I worked at Wayfair. Wayfair is where, and before Wayfair, I was also doing some sort of consulting, which is where I became an engineering manager. At Microsoft, I switched to a product management role, and then I switched back to engineering manager at AWS. Right. So currently, I lead a team of engineers who work on AWS Lambda. We enable all the functions that you run on AWS Lambda to be run as smooth and as fast as possible. And if you guys remember, the last year AWS launched a product called Snapstart. That product is powered by my team, right? My interests are product management, software engineering, program management, everything and anything that comes into tech. And I also love motorcycles. And that's why you have a picture of the exact motorcycle that I own actually today. And I go on, motorcycle rides very frequently in the Pacific Northwest. It is raining now, but once it's dry, I plan to go out. Okay. Moving on, right? So Yeah, what I love doing. I love working in the software industry. I love creating products. That's what I've been doing for the past 15 years. I've worked in B2B, B2C, and cloud products as well. And just this last year, I started mentoring new grads, professionals, and helping them out in their careers. And I love reading about product program and engineering. And as a result, today's presentation, right? Okay. Now, before we start off, delving into the topic of product manager or program manager or engineering or software engineering, if people in the stream could post put in a comment saying product, program, or engineering, whichever field they are inclined to work in or are working in, that'd be great. We'll wait for about 2 minutes and then we'll get started. I wanted this to be like an interactive session where we get to know what people's thoughts are about each of those fields, and then during the end of the session we'll do another survey to see if that has changed with the information they're given or it has remained consistent. So let's give 2 minutes for people to kind of put in their thoughts. If you're interested in product, just say product. If you're interested in program, just say program. And if you're interested in engineering, you can just say engineering. Great. I see some comments coming in. Let's keep them coming in, folks. I see Ishant. Yeah, great, great. I'll give it 1 more minute. Remember, this is all about being interactive in this session. So the more interactive you are, the more information you'll get out of the session. That's a great question, Kalki. So that's what we're going to talk about. As of now, whatever comes to your mind, you should try. Like if you're yeah, at a hackathon, you love building products, so you're doing some software engineering. Maybe that's something that you want to put in. But we'll disambiguate each of those as we move forward. Okay, I think we got good enough replies. Now we can get started, right? So we'll start with product manager, and a lot of the times this role is the most disambiguate, or most ambiguous role that people fall into. Now, the very easy way of defining what a product manager does is the what and the why of a product, right? So and a product here is any software or any entity or any product that a consumer is willing to buy if a company is manufacturing or producing it, right? So it could be your iPhone, it could be anything that we're talking about here. So in general, if your concern or if your interest is the what and the why of the product, that's where the product management role comes in. What does that mean? Like what does what and why mean? So what that means is that is that what are the customers asking for? Are they asking for a product? Are they asking for a new iPhone? Are they interested in a new iPhone? What market cap does this product fill? Why? What does a company want from this product? Do they just want to fill a gap? Are they bringing in a new product that doesn't exist today? For example, ChatGPT that was launched last year, so that didn't exist before. They've basically created a new vertical or a new area of products that are now being built. So, and then product managers more importantly focus on prioritization. What should be the base or the most valuable product that can be put in the market in the least amount of time, that can get us customers, paying customers, that can help build the next stages of the product, right? And then they also are in charge of collecting all the data that is required as a means of justification, or as a means of direction for the company or for the team to build the product, right? They also work with designers, so you'll see a lot of product designers, UI UX designers. So product managers work with designers to get the look and feel of the product based on customer interviews they've taken, customer feedback they've gotten, or they've looked at similar products in the market and they want to build a competitive product against those existing products. So they are in charge of dealing with all the what part of the product. They are also in charge of building looking at the why part of the product, right? So a very important question that comes into play whenever we look at companies or teams or startups that are building products: the question that is asked is, why do we need this product in the market, right? What is it? What is it going to achieve? Why is it important for us to build it now versus later? And is there going to be a market for this product? For the consumers. So product managers take care of the why part also, which is where they deal with the market research team. They go out and do in small startups, you'll see the product managers themselves conducting market research. In bigger companies, you'll see you have a market research team that is dedicated to figure out the customer behaviors, the consumer. They reach out to different firms that give them data with respect to different tiers of consumers and see how much each consumer is willing to pay for a product of that category or of that capability. And product managers collect all of that data and form a justification as to what that product means, why is it necessary, and why should we build it. Now, that is customer facing. Now, there is also the other part, which is where they are looking at internal to the company, and they look at looking why should we prioritize a particular feature? Why should a product look and feel in the way it is being designed? Is that something that is appealing to the audience? Is that something that is appealing to a specific set of consumers? So you'll see a lot of products being built tailor-made. Their USP is sometimes their color, the look, and the feel, right? So if you a very good example of that is New York yellow taxis. So anybody who looks at a yellow taxi, they can immediately associate it with New York yellow cabs, right? That's a very unique feature of that product. Wherever you see, you immediately connect it with that being a cab or a taxi, right? Now, in a nutshell, a product manager basically influences, ideates, and envisions a product. In many cases, you'll see co-founders of a company are essentially product managers because they've done their due diligence and they've tried to find out what gap exists in the consumer space today, whether it is software, whether it is non-software, non-technical product. They've tried to figure out what does the customer need, and they envision the product, and then they try to prioritize which features or which parts of the product should be built first so that they can launch it as fast as possible, because in today's world, go to market or the faster you're to the market also gives you the first mover advantage, and you get more and more consumers onto your product, right? In the tech world, they work very closely with the engineering team to bring the product to the life. They keep stakeholders updated of the product, right? And they also keep engineering updated on the changes in priorities and coordinate the launch of the product. I see a question here. Isn't product manager comes from business side instead of tech side? I think that used to be the case, but a lot of the times now you see that product managers are also from the tech side, especially in companies like AWS and Azure, where we are building cloud-based products. A lot of the product managers in fact even know how to code, right? And that's important in a tech company such as AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, because you're mostly building products that are developer oriented. Like a developer is going to use an AWS service to build their own products, and for you to be a successful product manager, it is important for you to know the nuances of what an engineer goes through, or a developer goes through, or your consumer goes through when they're using your product, right? And that comes only from the technical side of things. We also at Amazon have non-technical product managers, and they deal with, let's say Whole Foods, right? Or stores, Amazon Go stores. So that's the non-technical product management side, but we also have the technical product management side. Hopefully that answered your question, right? So in a nutshell, product management is a vast area where you're influencing the product, the envisioning the product, prioritizing features, keeping engineering updated, and keeping your stakeholders updated. You're also in some ways responsible for the launch of the product. You figure out which product, what part of the product can be launched first, what comes second, etc. Right? Next, right? Now, engineering manager, in this slide, we'll talk about, yes, Kalki, there's a question here. So product manager also have to learn about technology. Yes, and it depends. It depends, like for the most part nowadays, almost all the products that you see in the market, whether it's in India or in the US, and whether they're tech or non-tech, like even if you're building let's say just a app for, let's say, real estate agents, right? If you're building that, even then you require some technical expertise on, like, what kind of phones generally people, real estate agents, use, what kind of apps are they interested in. So you do need to get some sort of technical know-how. It becomes more important, and you need more and more technical depth if you're in a product management role that deals with cloud-based products, and even more technical depth when you're looking at OpenAI or products like that, right? Because they are purely software made, and they require deep understanding of machine learning, AI, and how all of that works for a product manager to be able to design or envision a product that can bring a revolution to the market, just like OpenAI ChatGPT, right? Now, coming back to the engineering manager is focused on how, what, and when of a product, right? So when we say how, they are focused on how the product will be built. Like they're asking, like, okay, if we've gotten a vision of saying building a product, but how will that be built? Meaning, what kind of tools are we going to use for that? What language, what programming language? And if you take out remove this from the software side, and we consider this to be, let's say, somebody's building an electric scooter, right? So they are now looking at how should the engineering pipeline be built such that you make all the components of the scooter, or source of components from some other company that has an expertise building those components, and then build it together and assemble it and make a product, right? So no matter which field of engineering you are, either software engineering or non-software, which could be mechanical, electrical, any of those engineering fields, you are dealing with how the product is going to be built, right? How you're going to integrate all the features that have been promised to the customer. How you're going to integrate all of them. How are you going to prioritize each feature, because each feature could take different amounts of time. I'll just take the same example of an electric scooter. Maybe the electric motor itself takes 7-8 months to build, whereas other components take 3-4 months to build. So you could parallelize this and have the electric motor be built in parallel to the other components of the scooter. And by the end of 8 months, you have all the components ready, and now you just need to assemble and deliver the product. Their core responsibility also lies in determining how many engineers or how many people are required to build the product. So resourcing, and then how much time will it take for the product to be built. So is it going to take 6 months, 7 months? What kind of phases how can they phase the product to make sure that you have a quick feedback from the customers and the other stakeholders. So maybe you build like a prototype of it, and then release it out to give it out to the product managers, and they try it with different consumers and see the feedback, and based on the feedback you can iterate. So all of those things the engineering manager is responsible for. Now, I also made this slide for like software engineer and engineering manager, because a lot of the folks will start off their careers as a software engineer. And so as a software engineer, as an individual on the team, you still deal with the how, what, and when of product. Because at the base level, if you're getting assigned a task to, let's say, write software for a particular product that is being built, you now have to look at what tools and technologies would you use. Are you going to use Python? Are you going to use Java? Are you going to use Node? What kind of tech stack would you be using for this feature? Is there something that the team already does that you need to use? What are the other dependencies of that particular feature or the product that your team members or other teams are actually working on, and that need to be integrated with your team, right? And when will your individual feature be delivered? When each feature is going to be integrated to make the final product, right? So as an engineer also, you're responsible for the how, what, and when of a product, and you're responsible from the perspective of completing and building your own feature. So once you do that, your how, what, and when tie up to the engineering manager's how, what, and when, which then ties up to the entire product's build timeline and how it's going to be built. Right. Next, right? So now we'll also talk about program managers. So So yeah, Kalki, good question from you. So engineering manager builds a product, or they just come with the things that are required to build the product? They do both, right? So engineering manager, depending on you're also responsible for building the product. They come up with the things that are required to build the product, and they deliver the product, right? So they're responsible for the entire after the product is envisioned. The how part, like how is it being built? Like if you just take an example, like we took earlier of an electric scooter, the entire assembly, building those motors, building those wheels, building those dials or those charging ports and everything, all of that is a part of the engineering manager. And sometimes you'll see many engineering managers come together to build one particular product, because there could be other teams that have an expertise on building a certain part of your product, and you can team up with them. And how you team up with them, that's where the program manager comes in, right? So the program manager is dealing with when of the product, right? They're mainly a product such as an electric scooter could require maybe 100 200 engineers who require to build this over a period of time, and then it goes to the assembly line where then it gets automated and everything gets built. But who is coordinating when each of these specific components that are required in an electric scooter are being built? That is the role of a program manager. They are always concerned with the when of the things. They may be handling multiple projects at the same time, which could be building of the electric motor, building of the seat of the scooter, building the wheels of the scooter. There could be different teams that are building that, but they are the one who are tying all of it together, and um, they are responsible to bring clarity to the timelines, bring in things that may not have been in the vision when the product was initially thought of. One good example of that is security reviews, right? How do we need to get some sort of approval from the government or from the local authorities for launching an electric scooter? How do we do that? What authorities do we contact? So all of those things are in the bucket of the program manager. Um, so I think another question from Kalki is that after getting all these things, engineers get permission from program manager. So I would not term it as permission. I would term it as the program manager will help in tying all the dependencies together, right? So they are the engineering manager, let's say, and I'm going to go through a case study in the next couple of slides, so it'll become more clear. But the program manager is now going to say, is going to look at the product and say, okay, we require a team A to build the electric motor because they have the expertise, and team B is going to build the wheels of that scooter because they have expertise in that. So now, how do we make sure that team A and team B are building them in such that by the end of 6 months or by the end of 3 months, they can align or kind of assemble the scooter together? So that's what the program manager is doing. The job of the engineering manager is to relay all of the dependencies and have the program manager figure out how to or align those teams to get those dependencies done. In many companies, including AWS, sometimes the role of the program manager is dissolved into the engineering manager. For example, on my team, we don't have any program managers, and I do all the program management also, because I reach out to teams that I know have a dependency on a particular product, and I reach out to them and figure out like when they can deliver a certain piece of the feature, and then I take care of me and my team takes care of integrating all of that. So it depends on different teams and different organizations and different companies how they deal with. Some companies have the role of a program manager specifically defined, who oversee the building of a big product. They oversee security initiatives and stakeholder reviews and etc. So hopefully that answered your question. So the next slide, I actually had opened up for more questions. So far I've explained about product, program, and engineering. If there are more if you have more questions, we can discuss them now, and then I can go into the next part of the slide. So I'll give maybe about a minute for people to ask questions, and then we can see if you want to move forward. Okay. Just let's give 30 more seconds. Okay, so I'll just move forward, and I think we can take care of the questions towards the end of the slides too. So now, as I said, I wanted to kind of open this up with a case study so people can understand how all of this works. So let's imagine there's a company called Fly High that wants to build a competitor of DoorDash. Now, if you don't know what DoorDash is a food delivery service in the US, and it's synonymous to Zomato or Swiggy or the other food delivery services that you have in India, right? So what does now a company called Fly High wants to build a competitor of DoorDash. So what happens now? Fly High has a product manager, John, Amy as the engineering manager, and M as the program manager, right? So where does John, Amy, and M's role come into picture is what we're going to see now. So the first thing that happens when company Fly High decides that they want to build a competitor of DoorDash is that John gets involved with the stakeholders and understands what the idea is, collects the data from the market research team, collects data about DoorDash, which is publicly available, to figure out how many users they have, what is the feasibility of Fly High being launched and being successful, what should the first iteration of the product of Fly High contain so that it becomes competitive enough for them to get more subscribers onto Fly High than they are on DoorDash, or at least have some users start to use Fly High, right? So John is going to decide that which cities we can launch, and that he works with the market research team that deals with figuring out like different demographies, different income levels of different communities, and where this service would be successful, and then they together they come up with a MVP of what the product will look like, right? Next, what happens is that John, Amy, and M discuss the product requirements. So John comes up with a base timeline of what they think that what he thinks the product should look like, and when should they launch. And based on market dynamics, like for example, DoorDash, they want to launch DoorDash, the competitor of DoorDash, on the first month of 2024, because it's the new year. So launching a product in the new year, closer to the holidays that come up in Feb and later, will help them get some traction if that's what they decide. Then John, Amy, and M meet up, and what they decide there is that is it possible to deliver a particular this particular product in that timeline? What are the design elements of the product? What are the components that need to be built? Amy, being an engineering manager, works with M, who's the program manager, and discusses the dependencies that will be required to develop the product, right? So they discuss like, okay, if I'm building Fly High as a competitor to DoorDash, I need to get the restaurant data onto my app, and to do that, M needs to figure out a team that it could be a team that is like a business team that is going to go out and reach out to restaurants and say, hey, we're launching Fly High with better income for you restaurants, why don't you launch your menu onto Fly High? So M will do the job of coordinating with those different teams. It could be non-technical teams, to figure out, give them requirements that this needs to happen. M will come back with a timeline of when that is going to happen and inform Amy. Amy will then, based on those timelines, figure out when the MVP of the product should work. They'll reach out to different teams within the engineering org to figure out what other features need to be built, and then Amy will work on the project plan, resourcing, and timelines, and keeping in mind all the dependencies and all the requirements that have been given to Amy, and then Amy comes up with a version of the MVP and the final product of how it look like, and based on the timelines that they've been decided, right? Sorry, did I miss something? Yeah, yeah. So that's in a nutshell how that works. Now, any questions on that case study on how I just talked about? Okay, I'll move forward then. So, what are the commonalities? Right now, we've talked about product, program, and engineering, but did we? Okay, there's a question here. Do companies make two teams and give some tasks to both teams to see which? I have not seen that happen. Like which? I mean. which it would depend on company to company, but I've not seen that happen, at least in the companies that I've worked with. Generally, I think that doesn't promote a very healthy, engineering culture, or let's say just a team company culture, because you're having teams compete with each other. But I think what they generally do is they'll try to see what what is the priority, and how can we best utilize our resources to build the product. So if there are two teams, they could give two different features to those two teams and have them build it. And as TVC just pointed out, yes, that would be a waste of money too, right? So now, we also want to look at what are the commonalities. Now, if in the past few slides we've discussed the what, why, when of the product, but if you look at it closely, every team, in a sense, is aligned with the common success of the product launch, right? They are they are aligned with the vision that they want to launch a product, whether it's program, product, or engineering teams. They have this common vision that we need to launch a successful product that is being used by consumers who are happy with it. So all of their success metrics are defined by that end goal. So if you have an engineering team that is building a product, your success metric is, yes, did you deliver that particular product on that particular time, because the product team or the program team wanted to launch that product in that stipulated period of time. So that becomes their own definition of success, and that's how the success metrics are defined for each of those teams. And to some extent, depending on the company that you're working in, or depending on the field you're in, or all of them tend to be technical. So at Amazon, as a there's a term called technical program manager. So you do need to be technical enough to understand the nuances of the software that is being written, the products that are being built, for you to understand how you could resolve those dependencies and have teams work together to build this final product. Okay. Yeah, now to the question, right? So a lot of the times when I've been mentoring folks, I get the question like, which one should I choose? Like, which field should I go in? And I think I want to kind of disambiguate that. Like, it's not which one should you choose, which career path you should choose. You should look at what you're good at, right? Do you like solving the problem of the what and the why? Do you like to understand the customer closely? Do you want to understand the customer deeply enough to suggest that this is a product that would work? Do you want to work on greenfield projects? Do you want to work on improving a particular product? I think that's when you become a product manager. If you're interested in the how, what, and the when, like you're really, really interested in understanding how each product is built, how it internally works, and how you could build more products like that, then the role that you would probably be suited for is the engineering manager. And if you like working across different teams and bringing them together to build a product, that's when the role of the program manager suits best, right? So I think that's the key differentiator that I wanted to bring out in this conversation, is that the what and the why, how, what, and when, and the when are equally important, but finding your own expertise or your own likeness to each of those defines what you would tend to choose in your career, right? Yeah, so that's all I had for today. I can now open it up for any questions that anybody may have, and we can discuss more on each of those things that we discussed there.
Okay, folks, if you will have any set of questions, you can just drop them in the chat. Throughout the presentation, if you got any point you get stuck there. But we also have certain set of questions which we did receive before the stream
Sure.
started. So I'll
Yeah.
just start with one. So the first
Yep.
one was, are there any specific certifications, training programs, or educational resources you recommend for career growth?
For career growth, so I think certifications. So I think if you're looking specifically for product oriented, I can give you some insights, and I can talk about engineering also. So product, there's I think there's a website called Product School. Let me just quickly look it up, and they have these exercises that are launched every month. And you as an individual can, and it's free of course, so you can enroll for the exercise and you can do the entire exercise for yourself to figure out, like they give you a challenge, like, hey, go and build this. A CEO of a company wants to build a particular product, just like how I defined in my case study, like Fly High, a competitor of DoorDash. You could go and solve that challenge on your own, and you can submit it. and that will give you a view into how product management works, how it how it all comes together. So that's one very good way of, I feel like, it's theoretically you can read a lot, but practically if you start implementing that, that's when you learn the most. Your learning curve kind of goes up in that sense, right? Apart from that, there are many online resources. I can send it, after this meeting is done, I can kind of collect all of that and send it to you. So that will define, like, there are many free courses that will teach you what are the basics of product management, and you can learn on your at your own pace. Having said that, the software engineering side also is very vast. So you have tons and tons of resources online that has that has that ha- looking at what language, what technology that you want to get yourself oriented in. Generally, the way I look at my own career graph is, I looked at the most used language at the time when I was starting my career, and I started to gain expertise on that, because it was more likely for me to find a job in that, using that tech stack or using that language. But more and more companies now are agnostic of the language that you learn. They're more focused on, like, data structures and algorithms, and just getting to know how your thought process works. So I would suggest, like, everybody, if you're interested in a software engineering career, work on your problem solving skills, and that will take you farther than just learning deeply about one particular language, right?
Oh, makes sense. Like currently you're talking about technical skills too, so I guess this question also makes a lot of sense here. In product or program management, how do you balance the need for technical understanding with the necessity of strong interpersonal and leadership skills?
Yes, that's a very good question, right? So, and that's actually relevant for many teams. So, I'll give you an example. Like, many teams at many different companies also don't have dedicated product managers, right? So, the responsibility of figuring out what the product is, how the product is going to be built, why it is being built, all of that also falls on engineering teams. Now, as a PM that is in tech, what the balance is that you should at least know, you should be able to answer a customer's questions. Look at it from that perspective, right? So if you're building an AWS product and you're talking to an AWS customer, if you're able to answer their questions, and their questions can be like, hey, in terms of Lambda, like, hey, if I upload my Java function, how is that Java function going to work? Can you show me how it works? So you should know the technical depth of at least knowing how your product works and how it works internally, so that you can answer those questions when these kind of discussions come in, right? So that's the balance you have to hit. You don't necessarily need to know very internally deep OS level stuff that the engineering team knows and how it works. That's when you pull in the engineering team and have them explain it. But overall, you should be able to carry on a conversation that is dealing with your product, and people want to understand how it works and what kind of technologies they could build on top of your product, right? Because many of the AWS products or Azure products or Google Cloud products, people used to build their own products on top of that. So you should be able to have that technical depth to understand, like, okay, using Lambda, you can do data analysis, you can do these kind of email sending features, you can make announcements in channels, because these are just ephemeral functions that keep running every 1 hour or so. So if having that technical depth will help you. Now, leadership comes in each of those roles that I'm talking about, right? So software engineering, program manager, or product manager, you are going to be a leader at some point in time, even when you're owning your own feature, right? And that leadership skills, I think the key differentiator that a lot of people think is leadership is more about talking and having people do things. Actually, it's the opposite. Leadership is more about listening to all the opinions, and then being the last one to ask questions, and possibly motivate, or at least move the team in the direction that you think, or come to a conclusion that you as a team come to a conclusion that it is important to go. So I think leadership will come automatically as you discuss more and more, talk more to people, listen to more people. Even as an engineering manager, most of the time I'm listening to my team to understand their opinions, and based on those opinions is what we decide the direction of the team, direction of the feature that we want to do, and how we can do it further. So I think that's where your leadership part comes in. Hopefully I answered the question.
Yep, totally. We did get a question in the chat, that is how to improve problem solving skills. I also wanted
Yeah.
to add one more thing here. Whenever we try to work on problem solving skills, there is a certain point where we call it a breakout point, right? When we are not able to solve that challenge, and then we feel like, okay, why should we proceeded earlier? So specifically in product field, how do you will try to answer this question?
Okay. Yeah. So I think problem solving skills, first we have to take a look at it from generally what we do, even I did that same mistake, is what I was trying to look at is how do I solve this particular problem in front of me, right? Let's say I was doing some data structure, some street traversal problem, and I wasn't able to solve it. So I'd get frustrated, like I'm not able to solve it. But I think we have to move one step above and try to see what is the uber goal of solving that problem, right? So even with the product problems that you face generally everyday life, like you're not able to figure out like how this product will be envisioned, it's tough to figure out what the customer dynamics are. I think what matters is that you break down the problem into small parts, right? If I'm trying to figure out if this product is viable in the market or not, let me look at competitors that are in this same product space. Do they what journey have they gone through to become a product that they are today, right? So stuff like that will help you understand those problems, how those problems are solved, and how those problems can be of use. The solving techniques can be of use to you. A good example of that is, um, Instagram didn't start as Instagram, right? And DoorDash didn't start as DoorDash, but they started as something small, and then they looked at those challenges. So when I sent you the link of the PM challenges, I think that will teach you like it'll teach you like they have small enough problems, and they give you like I think a week or a month for you to solve that, and every month is a new challenge. So solving that will tell you how you can go ahead and tackle these problems when you're doing in your career. Hopefully that helped.
Totally. We did get one more question. Are these resources like this one for engineering management, or is it enough what we learn as software engineers?
Yeah, so I think engineering management is also it's not enough. I would not say it's not enough, but I would say like as an engineering manager, also you require skills that are partially product, because you also like when I speak to product managers, I ask the same questions like why are we building this product? Why is it necessary now, right? So I think a lot of the engineers, when I was also growing in my career as a software engineer, I would just focus on like, hey, I've gotten a feature, let me just finish this feature perfectly on time and I'm done, right? But as software engineers, if you want to grow into an engineering management role, one is you need to start to look at the problem bigger. Like you want to ask the questions like, why are we building this feature this way? Or why are we actually building this feature? Why not this other thing? That gets you into the engineering management role. Like that gets you into the place where you are now a stakeholder in the success and the failure of the company and the product, and you play an important role in understanding how you can coach and mentor engineers, right? So coaching and mentoring also becomes a very good part of an engineering manager's role. And you will learn that as you become like a tech lead, you become a senior software engineer, then you already have junior engineers on your team who are looking up to you for guidance, and so you slowly graduate into that role. But being a pure engineering manager, you will have to be know about product a little bit, know about program a little bit, so you can deal with those stakeholders, understand how you can um, portray the success failure of your team, inculcate good processes such as agile, where what process is required. Sometimes some teams work in waterfall model because that's the best model to work on that particular product. Let's say you're working on an OS, right? On a new release of Mac OS, so agile doesn't make sense there, because it's going to be a 1 year long project, and the things that you're going to build, so they go in a waterfall model, right? Whereas if you're building a cloud-based product, you're agile because you want to release it in the market and get some feedback. You can't do that with the OS. Once you release it, it's out there and people are starting to use it. Right. So I think that's where the difference comes in, and that's where the learning comes in, where you can learn about it. I can send some resources for engineering management too. After the session, I'll send that.
Really loved the example of Mac OS with the waterfall technique.
Yeah.
I guess we do have a lot of questions, but we are also restricted on time. But I guess
Okay.
this is a very cliche question, but I feel this I should ask. I ask it to everyone. What is your set of advice for all the folks like who have just started working in the engineering sector? Because
Yeah.
like if I give you a rough number every year, if we only talk about India or the APAC region, there are 15 to 20 lakh engineers passing
Yes.
out, and from that, then you try to find jobs in the IT sector, and then when you work for 3 to 4 years, then you feel okay, I can also do product, I can also go into program management. So because you have already seen all of this with such a great experience, what will be your piece of advice for all of us, including me?
Yeah, so I think one piece of advice I'll always give to everybody is, you know, every 6 months, or when you're starting up, every 3 months, you should write down your resume, right? Irrespective of what your role is, irrespective of whether you're looking at a new company or not looking at a company, and I'll tell you why you should write down your resume, right? When you go into an interview, let's say 3 years down the line, when you have enough experience, you go into an interview. What are you talking about in the interview? You're talking about the skills that you bring to the table, that the company can pay you good money for, right? And how do they know what skills you can bring to the table? They can know that only if you've done enough impactful things, right? So I do that even today. When I every 6 months I write down my resume to see what are the most impactful things that I did. If I've not done that impactful thing, then I have to change something in my career or in my growth trajectory to figure out, okay, I probably should focus more on, let's say, learning Rust as a language, because my team knows Rust as a language and I'm the only one who's lagging behind. So let me bring up that skill. Now, that is one part of it. Second part of it is, a lot of times, and it happened with me also, like I was purely focused on just my job. Like, okay, I'm doing a job at Walgreens, so I'm just going to work at Walgreens and that's it. Nothing out of it, right? Always having that extracurricular set of projects that you work on, extracurricular set of things that you learn on an everyday basis, is going to be incrementally so beneficial down the line in your career, that you'll obviously stand out. Because imagine, even now, like the job market is not that great, so you have, for every job that comes out, I see like 1,000 applicants, right? How do you differentiate yourself from the 1,000 others? And you can do that by, one, having your own USP. What are you good at? What did you work on that is more impactful and more uh, change worthy than others? So building a brand for yourself, because essentially in an interview, you're selling your skills to a company that is willing to pay you a market price, right? And how do you make sure that your product in the market, like just like how you go to a vendor buying stuff, how is that differentiated from a different vendor that you're buying product from? So I think that mindset has to be brought in very early in your career. That leads to a lot of innovation, right? If you want to work in and be knowledgeable about the recent trends like AI and all of that, because they are going to change the job market. We don't know how, but always be ready for that change, right?
I guess that would be a very good set of advice going forward. But with that, I would really like to thank Shivendra for sharing his thoughts over stream. I know, again, if you want to share it with your friends, this stream will be available on all our social media platforms. This will be recorded here. If you want to go through it again, the stream is just shares. I can just bet on it. All the content which was shared over stream was superb. You can learn a lot of new things, even if you are experienced. There were a lot of learnings in this, and you can always connect with Shivendra over LinkedIn. I
Yep.
guess even when I was giving his introduction, there was a point which I mentioned that he loved to help peers who want
Yes.
guidance, and this stream was a clear example that he was there to direct all the folks who needed any kind of help.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Shivendra, for
One last
sharing
thing.
time with
Yeah,
us. Yeah.
I also do like free mentorship on ADP list. So it's completely free. I don't charge anything for that. I'm not trying to sell anything. So please feel free to reach out if you need any help. I'll just put my profile link here. ADP list. Let's see. Uh, so you guys can reach out to me there, and then I can just book a session with me, and I can help you out. 1 second. Sorry.
Okay. Probably, I guess I am going to be the
Yep.
first
Got it.
one.
Yeah. Please do. Please
Doing
do.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just drop the link in the chat. Okay. Okay, let me do that once again. Wait.
Yeah.
Control C, Control V. Great. Okay. And also, folks, just a reminder, our month-long hackathon is also going on. That is Major League Hacking month-long hackathon for the month of January. You can go and participate. This stream was a part of that. where you learned a lot of things, and we'll be very happy if all the things which you have learned, if you can implement even 50-60% of it into the things you will be making during the hackathon. I'll be sharing the dev post link here, and I'll just request you to join the Discord server as well. If you haven't joined it yet, you will be able to get all the information. But with that, folks, thank you for being an amazing audience. You folks were regularly asking questions. I guess we also received a set of questions earlier before the stream started, and I'm very much sure that you should have learned a lot of new things throughout the stream. Once again, Shivendra, thank you so much for your time. We would love to see you back again at our MLS streams. But with that, folks, I and Shivendra will take a break for now. I guess more good streams, amazing streams are coming up for you. But with that, folks, we'll see you soon again. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you. Bye.